I have I know there's questions and dialogue,
You're okay,
but I think in nuts and bolts, we've heard a little bit about gathering signatures, how to gather signatures, but I think one of the most important things, because we have a lot of leaders here from different areas, and even here in the state of Kansas, let me be clear of the two types of states that we have again. We have initiative states, which can gather signatures for a constitutional amendment, which are great. Those are the easiest places to get some movement in sort of the political realm. What we've done in Colorado, for instance, is each time we go back, we get signatures, we get into the churches, we get signatures, we activate these churches, and we gather data, and we gather up and identify and mobilize the pro-life people in that state. So in Colorado, after doing it twice, just so you know the numbers, we've identified 250,000 pro-lifers in the state of Colorado, which is a powerhouse. In just 2 years, by gathering signatures to put them on the ballot, we have the biggest pro-life database in the entire state. Now in Colorado, the Right to Life group was already on board with Personhood. So that's a blessing. So what we do with that data is, and this is what I would encourage everyone in the state, as you're gathering signatures, and I think whether you're in an initiative state or in a legislative state, think signatures, think petitions. It's very important. So say you're in a legislative state. I think it's incredibly important for you to gather signatures regardless, because you may not have friendly groups in your state. You may not have the established pro-life groups on board in your state. So it's important for you to go out and gather that support. And it gives you an opportunity to get into the churches, to get the church to participate. I think I lived in Wichita, and I would say there's maybe 4 or 5 churches that will show graphic abortion pictures in front of the church here. Maybe more. Pastor Mark, you could probably speak to that, but very few, very few. But there's a lot of churches here that will carry a petition drive, that will help their people gather signatures and get involved. And so I think it's important for us to let people be involved in pro-life work where they are comfortable with being it. Give them sort of a gateway into getting it. And my favorite saying is that personhood is a gateway drug for pro-life activism.
There you go.
It is. It is. Once people start getting into doing it something small, getting signatures, getting involved in a small way, when that's over, they want to know what else they can do. And that's important for us to work with people where they're ready to work with us. So either it's an initiative state by citizens, you get signatures, or a legislative state, you get signatures too. And you know why you need those signatures on a legislative state? Because that's power. That's power when you walk into your state house. You can say, hey, so-and-so, let's do personhood. Oh, I don't know about that. Oh, by the way, we have 500,000 pro-life homes voters in this state, and we're ready to do this. Oh, wow, yeah, I'd like to work with you. Yeah, I'd be happy to do that. That'd be great. And that's really what it takes. You know, these politicians that are endorsing personhood in Colorado, do I believe them? No. They're politicians. I think we should expect politicians to lie to us. I think you should expect that. But when you build that grassroots effort, when we identify and mobilize these people, then we have something to work with. We have a force to be reckoned with. And for the states that are represented here that might have established pro-life groups that don't want to work with you, once you go out and do this hard work that they're not doing or haven't done, once you go out and identify these new people, this group in the state that supports personhood, you will either convert them or replace them. In 18 months since Personhood USA started, there's been about 930,000 signatures gathered on petitions, legal petitions, during that time. This has had tremendous effect on some of the major pro-family groups in the country. And I think it's going to help to win them over and get them on board in a bigger way. In comparison, not to tout a horn or anything, but there was something called the Manhattan Declaration, which was presented by a lot of the leaders in this country, and they started that to get online signatures, which are far easier to get in the same amount of time. They've gathered about 500,000 in the same amount of time. So the power in the grassroots is incredible. And the power of personhood is incredible. And what you're working on inspires people and has the ability to create a, what's that R word? What's it?
Revival.
Has the ability to create a revival in your state for pro-life. But it's really important that you do the nuts and bolts. Gather those signatures, enter them into a database, because that's your bargaining chip. That's your stick to beat these politicians into submission. It is. It is. And the other pro-life groups. Gather the signatures, keep them organized, and interact with those people. If we identify and mobilize the people that are with us, the 27% of America, we're going to win. We're going to win. So, anyway.
You have any questions? It's your opportunity. Okay, Rebecca, go ahead.
Tell them about either political action committee or just even doing voter guides, so that you've got now these addresses of pro-life voters, and how you can utilize that to get more legislators to sign on to personhood.
Well, that can be answered best by the state of Georgia, which is a non-citizens initiative ballot access petition drive state. And in the last 10 years, Georgia Right to Life, and by the way, we're not here promoting Personhood USA or our organization at all. We're promoting the concept of personhood, and we invite you to do it in your state and community and stuff as well. And so Georgia Right to Life is another one of these pro-life groups, and what they've done is through PAC endorsements alone, without donating any money to any candidates, just through their PAC endorsements, Political Action Committee, and their voters' guides, they say, this candidate is pro-life. And in order to meet their criteria for pro-life, you have to be pro-personhood without exceptions. And personhood now, not 20 years from now when the courts decide they'll let you be for personhood. So in order to meet that criteria, you've got to be pro-personhood. Just through their PAC endorsements alone, they now control the state legislature. You cannot get elected in most areas without getting the endorsement of Georgia Right to Life. Okay? And in order to get their endorsement, you got to be 100% for personhood. The governor's race coming up, the Senate race, Speaker of the House, all those races are coming up this year in Georgia. So in January, they're going to go for it again with their Georgia Human Life Amendment and stuff like that. So that is very key to do that. Now, some groups like ours are 501c4s where we can endorse candidates, but then you either convert the existing pro-life groups that are there, or if existing pro-life groups dig in their heels and oppose you, so what? You go start something new. You don't have to throw any rocks or mud at them. You just go start something new and trust God to bless it. And you start your own PACs, pro-personhood, like a Personhood Kansas PAC, Political Action Committee or something. And plus, I'm not countering Keith, but I have met handfuls of politicians that all you have to say is, we should just go with personhood because it's the right thing to do. And they say, oh yeah, I'm for that. Well, and then we explain, well, some other pro-life groups may not support that. They think that you need to just regulate and you shouldn't go for personhood. And he says, so they're wrong. Let's just go for it. Let's just do it because it's the right thing to do. So you are going to meet some people like that, and there's only one way to find them. You got to go ask. You show up at campaign meetings, town hall meetings, candidate meetings, and you say, would you introduce a personhood amendment? If elected, would you endorse a personhood amendment to the state legislature? And if they say yes, great, you work with them. If they say no, oh, okay. And then you go find somebody to run against them on something like that. So Georgia is the best example of that. And plus, it moves people. Currently in some states, some pro-life organizations endorse candidates that are also endorsed by their state chapters of Planned Parenthood. And it's not because Planned Parenthood thinks babies are wonderful. Okay? So instead of just attacking those kinds of compromises, just do what's right and trust God to bless it. But we're also going to need in more states, if the pro-life PACs won't become pro-personhood, then we need to start new ones and move forward with that. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't answer your question. You can do a voter guide also and pass that through the churches, a nonpartisan, endorsing voter guide, just saying, do you support personhood? And that way, if elected, will you introduce that? And if they're already elected and they haven't introduced it, Do not vote for them. Let me say that again. If your elected official has not introduced a personhood amendment when he was able to, do not vote for him. Okay? Find somebody else who will introduce it. Go and say, well, I'd invite you to do this. If he says, I considered or something, say, oh, okay, that's nice. Go find somebody else, even if it's just a write-in candidate. But do not support candidates who say they're pro-life but are not pro-personhood. 2 words to answer that. Bart Stupak. Okay? So voter guides are very key. And pass them out. Do them online. Send them out. Churches, get going with it. If nobody else is doing, you do a personal voter guide. You say, here's who I'm voting for and here's why. I've sent these people letters, and make sure when you survey candidates, you survey all candidates, not just the ones in the 2 major political parties. Survey the independents and third-party candidates that are also running for whatever offices that you're going to campaign for.
Quick comment. Just 2 things to mention real quick about the power of initiatives.
Can you get it, Liz, bro? Here, give him one of these.
The homosexual lobby, how powerful are they? And how many, is 27% of the country homosexual? No, but they're changing the entire culture. And so when Keith is talking about we have 27% of the country that's for our type of belief, that's 100 million people. We can change things, so that's a reality. The other thing is the power of initiatives. In Colorado, we had an initiative a couple years back to legalize marijuana. It failed. They did it a couple times. It failed. People didn't want it. But they were able to use that initiative process to build the base, just like we're talking about, where they actually did legalize marijuana in the legislature because they built these organizations where an active vocal majority was able to pressure to get results. Marijuana is now legal in Colorado. There are about 3 marijuana dispensary stores in my block. There are more marijuana stores in Colorado than Starbucks. So, that's the power of grassroots. Let's use it for good. The other side's already using it. Let's put it to use for something really good.
I think we had a...
I just wanted to emphasize that,
Go
because
ahead.
you guys mentioned the poll that was done, it was 9% before the 2008 vote, and you got 27% of the vote. So this moves the base. And we were talking before, we want to appeal to the base. Well, why not move the base in the right direction? And that's what personhood does. Just wanted to emphasize that because this is very powerful. Everyone else said, I get confronted all the time, you failed 27% of the vote. And I was like, I'm from Colorado. I can't believe that there are 27% of the people around me. I thought it was alone. 27% of Coloradans are 100% pro-life. And we wouldn't have known that otherwise, and you can move them.
Yeah, we went from 9% to 27%. And the 27 people that voted, they were not answering an opinion poll. They were voting. They were making a commitment to change their state constitution. Thanks, Johanna.